Hello everyone, I'm Jake, and today I'll be reviewing a new commander card spoiled in Murders at Karlov Manor Precons. This to me is the best card in this set. His name is Marvo, and he's an octopus with a knife. I saw this card and went immediately to work on a deck. Marvo Deep Operative is a 1/8 octopus rogue for 3 colorless and Demir, and says whenever he attacks, clash with a defending player. Whenever you win a clash, draw a card, then cast a spell with mana value 8 or less from your hand, without paying its mana cost. Absolute filth. Before I go on, I must explain Clash. This is a mechanic we haven't seen since Lorwyn, which was a pretty long time ago. Each clashing player, in this case you and your opponent, reveal the top card of your library, then decide to place it on the top or bottom of your library. Whoever revealed the card with the highest CMC wins the clash. So then, the strategy is simple. Get out Marvo as fast as possible and start dropping gas. Let me let you in on a little secret. There isn't a creature with CMC less than 5 in this entire list. And if you want to get to the gas, you have to go through ramp first. And for ramp, we have Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Thran Dynamo, Talisman of Dominance, and Demir Signet. These are all commander staples that you've seen at least once or twice. Also, one little side note, depending on your budget, obviously, the more fetches you run in this deck will help you out a lot because it thins out your deck. So you'll have better chances to land something gross at the top of your library if you're revealing, RNG. But you don't have to worry too much about it because there are a lot of ways to manipulate the top of your library, which I have included in this deck. Moving on to an overlooked but very important category, we have removal. Starting off, we have Cityscape Leveler. This is good because on cast and when it attacks, you can destroy target non-land permanent. Massacre Worm's fantastic because on ETB, it gives -2/2 to all creatures your opponents control, and they take 2 damage for each of their creatures that die. Proteus Staff is good here because it can turn something like a Blightsteel into a Mana Dork, or you can use it in a time of need if, let's say, they're targeting one of your creatures. You can shuffle your creature back into library or maybe your commander, and then you can get something out of it. Hullbreaker can bounce a lot of your opponent's stuff back to their hands because you're going to be casting at least 2 or 3 spells per turn. Toxic Deluge is probably the best board wipe we can have in this deck because your commander has 8 toughness, so you can really wipe the board with 5 or 6 life. Kiora, Best of Sea God. This isn't really removal, but you can take something from your opponent, so you're removing it from their board and putting it onto yours. Captivating Glance is a really fun card because it gives you that clash ability, so you can put something for free down, and then you can take something from your opponents and then just, swap it in between your other opponents, and just fun. Just pass around a creature. It's hilarious. Moving on, we have Library Manipulation. Probably the most important part about this deck besides gas. Of course, we're running Sensei's Divining Tops. This is such a broken card for 1 mana. You can put it on turn 1 and you can start manipulating the top of your library turn 2. Scroll Rack is great because you can put something good in your hand on the top of your library. Brainstorm and Brainstone have you draw 3 cards and put 2 back on your library. This is just fantastic synergy with your commander because you'll get to put those big CMC creatures from your hand on the top of your library, or if you don't have any, you have a chance of drawing it with the first trigger. Otherworldly Gaze is also really good because you can look at the top 3 cards of your library. You can put any in your graveyard and put them back in any order, the ones you leave on top of your library. And it also has flashback, so you can keep doing it. Soothsaying is also a 1 mana enchantment that right before you attack with your commander, you can look at the top X amount of cards and put them back in any order. Now we're getting into a little bit more expensive territory with library manipulation, obviously besides Scroll Rack and Sensei's Divining Top. It's Scheming Symmetry, Vampiric Tutor, and Mystical Tutor. These 3 tutors are really impactful in terms of putting cards that you're looking for on top of your library. Scheming Symmetry is obviously more of a budget. If you can't really afford Vampiric Tutor, Mystical Tutor, I would 100% recommend Scheming Symmetry. It gives your opponent something off the top of their library, but guess what? You don't have to pick that opponent when your commander attacks. Doom Whisper and Cavalier Glades. Cavalier Glades on ETB is a Brainstorm, so obviously before you attack with your commander, you can do that in your main phase. Doom Whisper basically guarantees that you're going to be activating your commander's ability. You're going to be casting something for free every turn. Now onto Commander Synergy. These are cards from Lorwyn that make you clash with your opponents, that you can activate your commander's second ability a lot, which is exactly what you want to be doing in this deck. Hoarder's Greed's one of the best ones because you lose 2 life and you draw 2 cards, then you can clash with an opponent. If you win, you repeat this process. So, there's a high chance you can kill yourself with this card, but you're going to be casting a lot of gas while you're doing it. Pulling Teeth makes your opponent discards, and if you win the clash, you can activate your commander's ability. Research is Deep draws you a card, and if you win the clash, you can return it to your hand. Revive of the Fallen can get one of your creatures from your graveyard back to your hand, so you can recast with your commander, and if you win the clash, it goes back into your hand. Captivating Glance, we already talked about. It lets you clash at the beginning of your end step. Broken Ambitions and Scattering Stroke are clash counter spells. If you win the clash with Broken Ambitions, that opponent mills the top 4 cards of their library. With Scattering Stroke, it turns into a mana drain if you win the clash. Whirlpool Whelm is a great clash bounce spell. And now the category everybody has been waiting for. It is gas. I only included like 8 of the gas cards in here, but this gas is about 40% of the deck. So you'll have to look at it in the deck list that I'll post down below. First, we have Auton Soldier. This can make multiple copies of your commander, so when you clash, you can have 5 clash triggers and cast 5 things for free. Obviously, you need Toxrill is going to be in this deck. He's one of the grossest creatures in Magic the Gathering that can wipe your opponent's boards in a matter of one turn cycle. One with the multiverse. If you clash this and cast it for free, you can start casting spells for free without even needing your commander. Virtue of Persistence lets you get a creature card from any graveyard at the beginning of your upkeep. Nexus of Fate, it's not the only extra turn spell that we have in the deck, but I just thought about including one so you know. This one has a shuffle clause, so it can go back into your deck. Mind's Dilation is disgusting in terms of whenever an opponent casts a spell, you can take anything from the top of your library. Aminatu's Augury is broken because it lets you cast one of each card type from the top 8 cards of your library. Archon of Cruelty is just self-explanatory. It's just a good Magic card. Breach the Multiverse will make everybody mill 10 cards, and then you can get a creature from those cards milled back onto the battlefield. And now onto the maybe cards. We went with Hitagetsugu and Kairi. This is a brainstorm on ETB that can eventually make your opponents lose life. If you're going to run more of a spell-based deck than I did, this would be a fantastic card for you. Hoarding Broodlord, because on ETB it can tutor any card that can help you with library manipulation or just any of your gas cards. Stormtide Leviathan, now it really depends on how you're going to build this deck. If you just go straight flyers, this would be a fantastic card. Arcane Proxy, same way if you're going to go with a spell-based deck. And finally, Mind's Desire. If you roll with a lower CMC deck, this is going to be great because you can cast a bunch of cheap things and then finally do the Mind's Desire with your commander. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been my review for Marvo, the Octopus with a Knife. As always, I will leave a link to the deck down below. If you have any suggestions on commanders or cards I missed for this deck, please let me know down below. Other than that, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.